I guess let's just jump right into it because there's a few things I want to talk about.
All right.
For this one as well. So, hello and welcome to another episode of It Never Ends. I am your host / co-host Andrew. Over there is my buddy and co-host Alex. How you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, my guy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing swell. I had to figure out the entirety of my computer because I think a Windows update completely fucked it to the point where every time I try and do something on it, it would sit, load for 5 minutes, and then I could do something again. Do one click, have to wait 5 minutes again. And I was just like, what the hell happened?
Fuck.
After about 12 hours and a full hard reset on my computer, and uninstalling and being able to uninstall my drivers and reinstall my drivers, we're back up and running. God damn.
Exciting.
Yeah, it literally had to go through a whole like computer reset on top of it had to like run through and fix my entire C drive. Yeah. So that
holy shit.
Yeah, that was a good 14 hours there. I shit you not, that's actually how long it took to run through every file on my C drive to make sure that it actually works. Yup. So that was fun. I mean, here's the thing. I was sleeping and at work. So I saved 14 hours, but it's not like I was sitting in front of it waiting for it to be done. And at least I had something to do because I was playing Spider-Man in the meantime. So I was just like, you know what? It wasn't all bad. So, and Spider-Man 2 is real good. It's really good because it takes everything you love about the first game and just adds to that, and it's great. I also like how one of my main like not really like worries, I guess, not really it's not a complaint, but it was a worry, was that because you can kind of flip between Peter and Miles at certain points, and it's like, oh, why wouldn't you play as Miles? He's got the cool Venom powers. Well, they kind of give like Peter in this like basically the Iron Spider suit where he has like little like spider like robotic spider legs. Yeah. As like extra powers, and then I assume later the Venom suit. That's not a spoiler. We already knew that. Yeah. So
the game was marketed with Venom being
exactly. That's not a spoiler. And it's like they literally showed a mission where Peter was already wearing the Venom suit, so that's not a spoiler. Yeah. So it's really good though. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it. Mainly because I haven't played a ton of it myself, but it's really good, and I look forward to playing more of it. So it's probably why I'm not going to end up playing Alan Wake 2 right off the bat, but I do want to get to that at some point.
That's why I said before the podcast started, I care, but I'm not going to be too upset if Spider-Man 2 does get spoiled for me, because I am 100% going to be prioritizing Alan Wake 2. But I think that was a given for me, at least.
Yeah, I think I just needed to like choose which game I was going in on it, and I was like, yeah, I'll probably end up finishing Spider-Man before I end up finishing Alan Wake. So I was just like, I'll just finish Spider-Man and then move on to that once we're done. Because like November, I'm trying to think what comes out in like November that I really care about.
I don't think anything comes out in November.
Well, when does Persona 5 Tacticia comes out? Somewhere around there, doesn't it? It's November 17th. I don't even know if I necessarily want to play that. My brother will probably play it, and I'll see what he thinks about it. And if he likes it, I might get it.
Persona 5 Tacticia. The Talos Principle 2 I'm kind of interested in. So I guess there's that. They're making a Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 already.
Man, there's sometimes I just go, I don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore.
No.
Yo, speaking of fighting games though, that don't make any fucking sense. Did you see what Nintendo did the other day?
Yeah, no. You gotta remember, I'm friends with a lot of like pro Splatoon players, so I'm very aware of what they did. Yeah. And I'm very, very not happy about it, because
a lot of people are very not happy about it.
Basically destroyed that game's entire competitive scene and shrunk its community exponentially. Good job, Nintendo. You fucked yourselves.
It's always like
awesome.
It's always like I don't know why Nintendo does the things they do. Like what do they stand to gain off of this?
absolutely fucking nothing. That's the thing.
I just don't get it. It's like just running through it here real fast because I was looking at it. I didn't really look. I didn't look at it until like today. So it was like, but it's like, what is it? Like you can't make a profit basically off of this. There's the like limited to 200 participants or 300 for onlines, and like can't use any like money that they get, the entry fee for like anything other than covering the cost of the events and stuff like that. It's like, why would anyone run an event? Honestly, would anyone ever think to run an event at that point?
No one would, and no one's going to.
Exactly. So I'm just going like, Jesus Christ, man. It's always
so baffling when Nintendo does stuff like this, because they're only losing in this sense.
They only lose. This is only bad.
It's only bad for them, it's only bad for their consumers, and it's bad for everybody that's dedicated however much time to any of those games.
To the competitive scene in general is
I guess it's kind of weird because I would say Nintendo wants to be less competitive in their games, but that doesn't make any sense because I feel like the whole like balancing in Smash Ultimate was to make that game more competitive. It was to make it
competitive. Like
so what the fuck is this then?
Dude, I couldn't tell you, man. It's like I don't get it. Like you had a. I mean, I don't think he works on the game. Well, no one works on the game anymore, basically. But it's like you had probably one of like the better guys when it comes to making unique fighters. And I forget the guy's name, but he was basically like he was the one who made. He basically was like lead designer for all of like things. Was always doing all the play testing and showing off the characters as they were coming out.
You mean Sakurai?
Yeah, Sakurai. That's his name. Yeah, it was like he's like clearly he put a lot of time and effort into balancing these characters, making them all feel unique and genuine and cool, and only for the entire competitive scene to just not exist anymore. Like what?
Part of me thinks that Nintendo wants to have more of a like direct grip on how these tournaments are held. I just think they're doing them.
They're doing it all wrong.
They're doing it all wrong and completely the wrong way.
There's so much wrong with everything that's going on with this. It's like it's literally like taking community tournaments and just making them non-existent. Like, because like I said, why would anyone run this if you can't make a profit and you can't sponsor this? You can't even say endorsed by Nintendo on it. You can't use any of the Nintendo IP brands or anything like that other than like the game itself. You can't use modded things about it as well. So God forbid anyone use like the online like ROM thing or whatever. Was it like Project M or something like that is what I was reading here.
For Melee?
For Melee, so you can play it online. Yeah, God forbid you do that. And so it's like, you did all these things to completely shutter the community tournaments, the ability to practice against like good players in a nutshell, to theoretically run your own tournaments with. What was it, Panda or something like that? The Panda Global they partnered with like years ago. This is I'm just gonna remind everyone that was back in like 2022 or 2021, maybe like late 2021 when that happened, when that news broke. To run like legit like through Nintendo tournaments with Smash, and we haven't gotten a single one, and it's been nearly 2 years at this point. They said one was supposed to happen last year. Did never happen. It fell through. I don't know what happened there. I don't think anyone ever will know what happened there. It just fell through. And it's like I've seen screenshots of like leaks of potential events like happen that were either supposed to happen this year or are going to happen. But I sit here going, it's October 25th, and we haven't heard jack shit about an official Nintendo like tournament when it comes to Smash Brothers. And so then you do that. Then you don't have any news, and then you do this? What the fuck are you doing? Nintendo. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like we've hit we've hit lows. This is a new low that I didn't think we'd get to.
Yeah, Nintendo like when you look at a lot of their IPs, when you look at Mario Kart, when you look at Smash Brothers, especially when you look at Splatoon, Splatoon and Smash, the competitive communities and of those games are huge. It's what makes up, like, I think even like a majority of the community. And to just do this to those communities, you're gonna kill the player base of those games. Making sequels to, like, even a game like Smash or Mario Kart, you've just given people much less reason to play them. Which is crazy to me. Nintendo would do that to themselves.
Why is it only Smash? Like, if it's just like you're saying, it's like, oh, it's like, it's like, is Splatoon next? Is Mario Kart next? Like, can they not
this
do
affects
any, like, Mario Kart like tournaments or whatever?
This affects both those games.
Does it? I thought this was only for Smash guidelines.
No, this is for every Nintendo property.
Community tourney guidelines.
So everyone is getting fucked over by this thing.
I thought it was only Smash. No, that turns out that's everything. Wow, that is. Oh boy.
It's even worse than you thought it was.
It's even worse. Somehow it's even worse. Because it's literally like presented here as like a guidelines for Smash tournaments, and then I look at the actual post and it says no, community tournament guidelines.
Would this affect speedrunning too?
No, probably not, because they're not considered tournaments. I don't know, are they?
I'm not sure. It feels like the wording in this is just vague enough that it could, but maybe they won't enforce it as if it is.
I assume it's like, because it says specifically for community tournaments. So I guess as long as you're not like presented as a community tournament or just a tournament in general, then it won't matter. Because I think about it, and I think about like the when you said that, like the speedrun races that sometimes are like the speedrun like randomizers for like AGDQ or something like that. And I just go, man, if they have to follow this, they won't be showing any Nintendo games going forward, which sucks because like one of the ones that they're always known for is like so what is it, Super Metroid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think it's mainly tournaments, but you're right. The language is vague enough where it could maybe be used for that, but I don't think it will be.
So, and knowing Nintendo, they're not gonna, go back on this decision. They're gonna stick with this.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I feel like the only way we're gonna get a rectification for this is if, not even if there's enough like general backlash, if it starts to affect like sales of their games even.
Because here's the thing, we've seen general backlash from like communities. Like, this is not the first time the Smash community has been pushed down into the ground, and every time there's just not enough backlash, or people just kind of like let it go after a while, and then just go, all right, we'll just keep moving on, and then this just sucks. It's just what it is. At this point, it's like, yeah, you're just done. Like, just straight up, like, don't even bother playing it. If you're playing Smash, go to fucking go to Street Fighter. Like, learn Street Fighter if you're really interested in like fighting games, because Capcom actively wants you to play that and play it competitively and host tournaments and do stuff like that. The exact opposite of what Nintendo is doing right now.
Seems to want to do.
Exactly.
What?
And again, to what end? To control the entirety of the esports of Smash?
Of their games?
Of just their games in general? Like, then do something, Nintendo. Christ. Like, you partnered with Panda Global to run tournaments And in 2 years, you've ran a combined 0. Like, if you're trying to be the LCS for your games, fucking do it already. And you know the thing about that as well is how do players practice? How do players continually get better at the game? By playing in community-run tournaments, by playing in things that aren't necessarily sanctioned by. I'm just using the LCS for example, but like community runs, or even just like other things. There's the only way that people ever get better is by playing the game and playing it at a high level.
What Nintendo needs to fucking realize is that eventually. The competitive players are what make up 90% of the player base for their games. Because a lot of people, they'll pick up a Nintendo game, they'll have fun with it, but then they put it down, probably won't play it much again. With competitive people, no, they're going to be continually playing it, trying to get better, and they foster a healthy community that way. When you do this and you don't let them compete, they're not going to stick around and play because like, oh, well, it's my game, so whatever. It's like, no, they're just going to go somewhere else.
They'll go to like any other fighting game. It's like there have been so many games that basically are trying to be the Smash clone. It's like, I mean, like you literally brought up, it was like, oh, Nickelodeon All-Stars 2. Not saying that's going to be anything like Smash, but like, it's just like, but they're trying to be that clone. And it's like...
Bro, the fact that fucking Foam Stars has a chance has a chance to be more popular than Splatoon makes me so angry now.
That is completely and utterly dumb. Also,
it is the saddest thing of all time.
Just going back to your point that you made about the like 90% of the and I absolutely believe you, is like the 90% of the player base is the competitive. I would also be interested to know how many people that either just picked up Smash and just don't really play it all that much, or whatever, kind of moved on, like actually bought like the DLC like fighter packs, like. Because, like, my brother likes Smash, and he has the game, but he doesn't have any of the fighter packs. And I was just like... And I was like, I do, but I haven't picked up my Switch / played Smash in months at this point.
I think it's been over a year, personally, for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, I
haven't even bought all the fighter packs, I'll be honest.
And I was like, I did, but I was just like, man...
The casual audience, even if those games are popular, they'll fall off really quickly. This just guarantees that Nintendo has no player retention, which is
like, is that what they want?
More important than no. I'm guessing not. I'm guessing they don't think it's a huge deal, but I think it's a bigger deal than they think it is. Because
it's like maybe there's just like I don't like what do they see in these tournaments that they just don't want to be even associated with them at that point. It's like the fact is they put in the stipulation where you can't even say sponsored or endorsed by Nintendo, or it's not cannot be presented as official or endorsed by Nintendo. So the fact like. All the way to the point that they basically are just like, we don't even want to be associated with you. That is the weirdest part to me as well.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to run this tournament, we don't even want to be associated. We don't want my name on this. You can use the game, but we don't if you use Nintendo, you use our logo, you're done. And I go, that is wild. Like, what do they see in these tournaments that makes them want to say that?
I don't know. They've always been remarkably clean and have really good, like, helpful communities since the beginning. I don't understand what Nintendo sees in these tournaments that they are just like, well, nope, you gotta go and clean these up or fucking get rid of them. And if they want to completely control the esports scene of their games, it's like you've said a million times, then do something.
Then use it.
Use it. You hired this esports like a group, apparently. They haven't done anything, not even one tournament for any one of your games.
I've never heard of a tournament that this has gone through. It's like, I've never heard of it. Never. It's like, I look on their website or whatever that they have them run, and it's like, it's a bunch of ones that aren't one. Although I see that there's like a Smash one here. Apparently they are running in tournaments. I haven't heard anything about this. It really just goes like just looking at this makes me just remind myself that they really just want to control everything, and I think that's the thing that number one is like. I think that's what most people are really, really annoyed by because like they have deals, they have players that are playing in it, which is interesting because I've never heard of any of these things.
It does look like Nintendo has been licensing tournaments outside of that specific league, from what I'm reading here anyway.
Yeah,
got 10 or so got approved in Japan recently, so maybe there's a way around this. I don't know. It's
either way, this isn't a good move by any stretch of the imagination.
no, it's not.
Yeah, it's just really what it is, and I'll never understand what it is that Nintendo doesn't like about it. Like if they do want to control everything, I just sit here going just like, why? It's it's like do they now like? It's just like some of the best moments in any game whatsoever. Like it's like how I even think about like how like the LCS started. It's like literally like Freak went to when he was like starting the LCS back in fucking forever at this point. But it was like he literally went to Riot saying, "Hey, can I use like League and host like this big like just call it Worlds basically or like call it the LCS and just like." And run a tournament and is like, and Riot just like, sure, but we're not going to give you like any backing. We'll just give you the permission to like use the game and stuff like that. And he's like, the first event he hosted out of his basement, and now it's grown into this juggernaut. Like, and instead of like Nintendo letting that happen or like something like that or supporting like a community, like they could have had Evo do that. That's pretty much what Evo could have been. Like those big fighting like tournaments or whatever. Like it's like Smash was already their biggest event of the whole thing, and they just said no, you can't do this because you're using a modded hack for Melee. And I was just going like, and then it's just like
this age-old game for GameCube that we don't even sell anymore.
Exactly, that age-old GameCube game that there's no online support, especially like, and the big thing about that especially was like because it was during like pandemic, so it was like everyone was like already quarantining, not wanting to be around everyone else. Because it was pandemic, we're all playing, we're all being safe and everything like that. So it's like, oh, the only way to really do an online one now, because travel is such a bitch and and we obviously want to stay safe, was to play online. And they still didn't let up. They still were just hammering like, you can't use this, you can't do that.
It makes absolutely no sense because if they made like a port for like the Nintendo Switch, then I could accept that.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's a game where it's completely, literally impossible for them to make any money off of it, what the hell are you doing? Why? Why would you ever want to do that?
The number one thing about it too is the only thing that the mod changed was it added an online mode. That was it. Oh man, yeah. So, but I just think to myself and I go, remember like the wombo combo happy feet moment like that that wasn't a community run thing or whatever. Like some of the best moments of any game, especially like Smash, always came out of like these events where people were just wanting to play competitively. But having fun at the same time. It was literally just people like, I'm going to play competitively, but we're also going to fuck around and just have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're taking all of that out. You're removing the entire soul of the game from its like framework. And it's just like, I cannot fathom it. So, great job, Nintendo. You done it again. And don't worry, everyone will forget when Tears of the Kingdom wins Game of the Year this year.
I actually don't think it's gonna win this year.
I know, but I was just throwing it out there. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get to that, I'm sure, once the nominations are actually out. But I do worry about that.
What, the nominations?
No, but it's not that I don't think Tears of the Kingdom could win. I just don't think it should win, and not for the reasons that everyone will say. But
yeah,
that's just my genre. I'm still of the mindset that I don't think at this moment I don't think Spider-Man 2 should even be up for Game of the Year either.
Oh wow.
There's a reason. There's a reason for that. But
okay,
I want to see what the nominations are first before I say anything about that. And also right. I want to finish the game because my stance could completely change once I finish it.
Fair.
So we'll see. I was like, you and me were talking Magic before we started because they've revealed a bunch of Ixalan cards, which I haven't taken a look at. But I recently saw that for next year, Magic already announced their next one after Final Fantasy that they're going to do.
Yeah.
And it's no surprise it's the Marvel.
Okay.
So Marvel's the Marvel Universe Beyond, or what do they call it here? They called it something else, and I was just like, it's a Universe Beyond thing. It was just like, so the next Universe Beyond after Final Fantasy, or at least sometime next year, is supposed to be Marvel. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, I can't say I'm too surprised because I figured it was going to happen at some point.
Yeah. Now I just gotta wait for what's coming after, though.
Harry Potter.
No. No, pick something else. Pick anything else.
Star Wars.
Fucking sure, Star Wars. Do Five Nights at Freddy's. Don't do Harry Potter.
Just anything but Harry Potter.
The discussion always gets so annoying when you bring up Harry Potter. I hate it.
It does.
But
yeah.
So have you seen any of the spoilers for Fallout or Lost Caverns yet?
I have not.
I think it's cool that one of the new commander decks is going to be a dog. Just a dog.
Nice.
Just a good loyal dog.
I was like, I saw for the Ixalan ones that they were reprinting some of the old like flip enchantments that were really good.
Mm-hmm.
I also took a little bit look on like the new mechanics and kind of how they work for this one.
I think it's interesting that for the Jurassic World cards, they're not going to be in a secret lair. They're not in their own universes beyond. They're just thrown into the Lost Caverns of Ixalan set.
I mean, it was like with like Brotherhood's War and the Transformers, or isn't there another one that was like that as well?
And I thought that was weird too. Like,
I mean, the Godzilla cards were thrown in with what was it, Ikoria?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just look at that as the Godzilla set in general.
I know. But, I mean, kind of what it was, but I'm just saying. I don't know. I just thought I was like, oh, it's not that crazy. Yeah, kind of expected that. Oh, sick. Those are what the full art lands look like. I love that.
They are so pretty.
They are. They're very good. They are very nice.
It's like, why can't I just buy like a 20 pack of the full art lands?
God, I wish.
Just charge me like $30-$40. I'll pay it, buy like 2 of them for every single set. Magic, you could be making so much money. I don't know why you're not.
I'm really thinking I'm going to have to... Oh, shit. Cavern of Souls is being reprinted in this set, too? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking I might have to remake Dinosaurs if Billy or Ariel. It's not going to do Dinosaurs, although they have a bunch of like the original dinosaurs from Ixalan, so it's like, I'll see what they do. But otherwise, I might have to do it myself.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna... Because the dinosaurs are really good. I'm not really seeing much else. I guess they're adding some, like, merfolk in here, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But... I already told you about...
Oh, shit.
What?
the Myco Tyrant.
What is that?
It's a 3-mana green black whatever. It's a XX trample where its power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures that you control that are fungus or sapperlings. And at the end step, create X amount of black fungus creatures that can't block, where X is the number of times you descended. And the descended is like, it's like the mechanic where you just like put cards from the top of your deck or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Into the graveyard?
Yeah. It's like a weird like surveil. Or
that's
not surveil, like dredge.
That's fucking interesting.
Yeah, it's that might be a deck I'll look into, because I was like, I've always wanted to like, or thought about making a Sapperling deck, but I was like, I don't know, like there's some cool Sapperling cards, and then I was just like, oh shit, this one adds like graveyard recursion, shit like that. You know, I love graveyard recursion, is what I do.
And I've already told you about Osier Talk. I need him.
Yeah, I was just looking at that card too.
I'm probably not going to make him the commander. I might just make him part of the 99. I feel like he does better than that, but...
Probably. Oh, so when it dies, it becomes a land. Then you can pay 3 mana and tap it to transform it back into the creature. Oh, that's weird.
It's weird, but it's a good way to keep him on the battlefield if you want to.
Well, it's I mean, like exile or like, but yeah. It's hard to get rid of it. But like, yeah, there's some interesting cards here, and I haven't even looked at the Fallout set yet. But I think there was a few things that sounded interesting when I was looking.
In Fallout, they're bringing Storm back, so that's fun.
Oh, yikes.
I fully anticipate that one to be the most expensive one. Dr. Madison Lee.
Oh, Dog Meat the Ever Loyal? Hell yeah.
I kind of want to make a deck out of Mr. House, President, and CEO, though. That just sounds fun.
That card looks pretty funny.
I already told you once about how I wanted to make
it's a dice rolling one.
I've already told you how I wanted to make a dice rolling deck before, and I think that would be a great commander for that.
Yeah, and there's some good ones, but I like that one too. God, it's so weird to me though. Like, just like Fallout was like the sad. I was like, that was not what I was anticipating when they were like Universe Beyond. It was like Fallout was definitely not on my radar for that, but I was like, hey.
I mean, I'm guessing they're going to just eventually get anything and everything that they can get.
I mean, the next one they're doing after that is Final Fantasy, so you know.
I think it's cool though. I like the showcase Vats cards that they got.
It's like Ikoria is like still needs a bunch of cards still revealed, but it does look pretty interesting. Oh shit! Poison Dart Frog. The frog deck's gonna happen.
Oh boy.
I feel like the frogs are just the next bears, where everyone wants the frogs to be a thing, but like
they don't do anything ever.
Well, it's just like there's just not enough of them to do a deck, and even if they did, they wouldn't do anything. So it's like, cool. But like,
you really can't do much with squirrels either unless you include the unset cards.
Exactly.
I just got very lucky in that respect. Oh, how many more raccoons do you think they're gonna make? We got a raccoon.
Who knows? It's all pretty interesting though. I'll look forward to seeing more of the set. Hold on, there's a Galta here. What the fuck?
There's a what?
A Galta, which is the big ass dinosaur that you can like from like original Ikoria, where it was like, oh, it costs like X less for amount of power on your field or whatever, so you could drop like a 12/12 down for like 2 mana very easily. Yo, what? Yo, what? 8 mana mono green dinosaur. Whenever Galta Stampeding Tyrant enters the battlefield, put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. That's fucking nuts. In a dinosaur deck, bruh. That's going to get out of hand real fast.
Yeah, Billy's gonna make this deck, isn't he?
Fuck. That is scary. That's a scary card.
Have any games you're looking to play on Halloween?
On Halloween?
Any spooky games?
I don't know. Maybe I'll play Amnesia the Bunker.
Nice.
Might be a good one to be able to play that night. But I'll not sure. Probably. Oh, I was trying to think. I was like, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, and I just remembered what it was.
What was it?
This is sports. This is all sports related because last night the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies, and now the World Series is now set. It'll be the Diamondbacks versus the Texas Rangers, which not my first prediction when I first was thinking and looking at all the teams and going like, this is probably going to be the teams that make it to the World Series. It was not. Although both series went to 7, so that was pretty fun to watch. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this will be a good time to go over like the teams and everything about them. And I was like, it's really funny to think that there was 4 teams this season that went in at 100 plus wins, and not a single one of them made it there. Instead, the 84 win Diamondbacks beat out all those 100-win teams, and the Rangers, who won I think 89 or something like that, also made it to the World Series. Just showing that just because you have really good, regular season doesn't mean that you're going to do well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. Both of these teams are just like,
I think both. I think they're odd, but I think they did both of them remarkably well.
Yeah, I'm just like, but I look at these teams like it's gonna be an interesting one because I think both teams are like kind of polar opposites from one another. It's like the Rangers are a team that they hit, they score a lot of runs, and then hopefully they get just win by enough that even if they let up a few runs, they can still win because they've had the most blown saves in some time. So it's like they gotta win by a lot. Whereas that's of the exact opposite of the Diamondbacks, who are all like, they don't have the greatest lineup, they don't have the greatest rotation. They have their top 2 in Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. Those are their number 1, number 2 pitchers there, and then their bullpen is definitely has become their bread and butter. It's the best part of their team. And it was not the thing with earlier this year where they made a lot of trades and built up a lot of guys for when it comes to their bullpen. Because I look at this and I'm going oh yeah, you got Paul Thewald for the closing spot, and I go, they've had some good ones or whatever. I was watching a last game, and that Kevin Ginkel or whatever has this crazy ass slider that just falls so fast. It is, I don't know how anyone hits stuff like that, but it's somehow, some way. So the Diamondbacks are definitely looked at as not much of a threat, and I was realistically, probably thinking that the Rangers should win this pretty easily, but I feel like that's what everyone said about the Diamondbacks going into every series, so I'm not going to discount them by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I expect them to put up a pretty good fight this year.
Hopefully they do.
Yeah.
Because it's but they got a lot of I guess the Rangers won 90 games. Not bad. But it's I mean, their bullpen is just atrocious. If they can keep it together for 4 wins, then that's all they need. But man, I look at this and I go, they got some decent starting rotation. like Nathan Eovaldi, Max Scherzer, Jordan Montgomery, but man, that bullpen's rough, and I don't know how they're gonna make that work, but they have so far. So I'm gonna just go with that. But it's like you have the bats of like Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia.
I mean, yeah. Like I said, though, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt until I actually see them play.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting series, though. I honestly don't know who was gonna win at this point. Like it was like I could probably say that it was like but it's like it really comes down to, can the Diamondbacks continue to ride this high that they're basically having with. I mean, like you went into the Philly series down 3-2. I mean, granted, I think Rangers can say the same thing, is that they came out of Houston down 3-2, going back home, or no? Yes, no, maybe I can't remember. But either way, it was like, especially for the Diamondbacks though, they were down 3-2, going back to Philly, and it was like everyone was so confident that Philly was going to win at least one. And then it's like, then they forced the game 7. It's like, all right, there's no way they'll lose 2 home games, right? And they did. And it's like they had their opportunities. Like in the 7th inning, I was watching the game last night, and the Phillies had, they had 2 on or whatever, and Trey Turner up, and was it Trey? I think it was Trey Turner, and it was just like he strikes out. Or no, he flew out, but he knew he should have hit it harder because it was a slider that he left over the zone, but he was in front of it, and so he didn't get a good hit on the bat. Yeah, he was definitely disappointed in himself. But it was like, and then it was just like, oh, then you had like probably like one of the more clutch players in Bryce Harper, and he goes down with, and I'm just like, jeez. And it's like that was the inning that they needed to score, and right then I was like, all right. If you're the Diamondbacks, you're feeling pretty good about that, because that was their moment. Because at that point, if nobody else got on base, which nobody did, you wouldn't have to face their top 3 hitters or whatever with Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper. So I was like, and then in a 2-run game, and if anyone on base, if any one of those guys hits a home run, all of a sudden it's a tie game, and it's instantly shifted back to the Phillies. Could potentially win that game. But nobody got on base, so it didn't matter. Just crazy. It was like I think it was also like the Phillies didn't score or like come up with base hits with runners in scoring position. Mm-hmm. They were like 0 for 17 in like the last like 2 games of the series, and I go, Jesus Christ! I don't know whether or not I put that on just poor hitting by the Phillies or really effective pitching by the D-backs. Probably a bit of both.
It's probably a good mix of both.
See, I sit here going as a Brewers fan. I was like, considering the Diamondbacks beat us, and they continued the curse of the Brewers that every team that beats the Brewers in the playoffs ends up at least playing in the World Series. So of course I knew that the Phillies were going to lose and the Diamondbacks were going to win. Clearly, I knew that. I say that as like a joke or whatever, but it's if you look back at like the past like multiple years that the Brewers have been in the playoffs, every team they've lost to has gone on to play in the World Series. It is astounding that is a thing. You think maybe it's like, oh, maybe one or two teams, or maybe like half the teams. No, it's every single team. It's wild. So, yeah, definitely Texas Rangers' strength though is their bats. They've got some of the best. They've got some of the best lineup, one of the best lineups in baseball, and probably the AL MVP. Well, I shouldn't even say that. It's probably gonna be Seager, right? I would have to believe so. He had like an over 1 ERA. I think he finished near the top when it comes to average and OPS as well, so I'd have to believe he's probably going to be the favorite to win it. And Adolis Garcia just went off against the Astros because he got mad that he thought that they threw at him in like Game 5 or something like that, and I just go, I will say that was really funny to watch the fall out of that, because the Astros got their pitcher thrown out, and then the umpires go over to Dusty Baker, the recently retired Dusty Baker, because he announced today he was retiring from baseball at the age of 70 something. Guys, the guy's basically a living legend when it comes to baseball. 74. He's 74 years old. Still one of the best guys in baseball, though. So it's like now he's retired, but it was like watching the umpires go up to him in that after that fallout. It was like they were going walking over saying, "Hey, we threw out your pitcher," and he goes, "What? Are you serious? Are you fucking serious? That's horse shit." And he just hat comes off, throws it back into the dugout. It's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? It's like it's a playoff game. Why the hell would we hit him on purpose? It's a tied series, and we only have I think a 1 or 2 run lead or something like. No, they're down 2 runs. Why would we hit him on purpose? You know?" I just don't understand. So it's then Dusty got thrown out for that, in which he basically just "No, I'm not leaving," or whatever. So he sits in the dugout and he goes, the umpires realized that he hadn't left, and he goes, "Hey, Dusty, you got to go." And and he goes, "What? I got thrown out too?" He's like, "Are you serious?" And this is bullshit. It's really funny because the Astros ended up winning that game. It's like Altuve ended up hitting a 3-run home run, winning the game for him.
You want to talk about the Packers and how shit they've been doing?
I mean, here's the thing: the Packers, I fully anticipated, but my whole thing about wanting to talk about football is everyone talks about football all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So, whereas in baseball, it's you legitimately turn on ESPN at any given moment of any day, as long as they're not showing a sport, which is probably still going to be football, they will still be talking about football, and they will talk about it for hours at a time, talking about the same thing over and over and over and over again. The NBA just started. Last night was the first games of the series or of the season or whatever. You had Lakers and Nuggets and Suns and Warriors, and I guarantee you, not a single person on ESPN talked about that at all. They just talked about probably what happened over the weekend with the NFL or college, or probably they'll be talking about Deion Sanders in Colorado and stuff like that, because they can't stop talking about him. It's infuriating to the point that I just don't give a shit anymore.
Oh shit.
So it's just I like football, sort of, but it gets all the limelight, and so I just don't want to talk about it because it gets every moment of every day. That's
completely fair.
So it's just but you'll never see ESPN doesn't even talk about baseball at all. It's and that was the whole reason why the MLB network even came into existence, is because ESPN legitimately never talked about baseball. So the MLB made their own goddamn network so that way someone would be talking about baseball. It's the same thing with the NHL.
That's fucking stupid. I didn't even know the NBA started today.
Yeah, the first game's today. The Bucks don't play until Thursday, which is so weird. And everyone else plays, but the Bucks won't play their first game, and on that same day, the Lakers will play their second game. It's just I don't know who makes these schedules, but man, they are terrible. That's why I tend to not like to talk about football, because it's just so
overdone at this point.
It's just so bullshit. I just don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Okay, that's fine.
It's fine. The only thing I'm going to say about the Packers is that whoever does these play calls, and one is fucking terrible, and two, let's spend some money and actually get some players out there, so that way, we can actually stand a chance against the fucking Denver Broncos, who have the worst defense in the NFL, and we still can't score more than 17 points. Come on, man. We were shut out in a half by the Broncos. What the fuck? It's like, oh, you don't put that on Jordan Love? I'm like, no, I don't necessarily put it on Jordan Love. Yes, he's still rough around the edges. Did we think he was going to be Aaron Rodgers right off the bat? Because if you thought that, you're fucking wrong. You're wrong. That no one, not even Rodgers, was Rodgers right off the bat. Like he had upside, and only got better as the years went on.
Mm-hmm.
So, I look at it as kind of like how is like Packer fans were blessed with like really good quarterbacks in Favre and Rodgers, and didn't have the quarterback woes for years, like just literally years, decades. Like at that point, it was like they just didn't have to worry about the quarterback because we always knew it was like we always had a solid quarterback. Now that Aaron Rodgers is no longer with the team, thank fuck for that. And it's just like it's no longer with the team. And now we have to move on to a new quarterback, and everyone puts the expectations on him that he's going to be the next Aaron Rodgers. Is insane. It is an insane take, an insane move, an insane thought. So, do I think that Love is that guy? I don't know. But I'm not going to say he's not.
Yeah.
It's like he's done some dumb shit things so far this season, like that last. But I also call what the fuck was that last play against the Broncos though? I said I didn't want to talk about football, but I guess I'm going to talk about football here for a second. But it was like the last offensive play for the Packers. It was 3rd and 20 with 1:42 left. Okay, so what do they decide to do? They just need to get the first down and they need to get into field goal range. But instead, the play then became, let's chuck a ball 20, 25 yards down the field into double coverage, and I sit here going, and then Love threw an interception. That's how the game ended. Mm-hmm. But I sit here going, just like, why? You just needed to get in field goal range to win by 1 at that point. Like, if you had just done a play that would have gotten you like 10 yards or something like that on a 3rd and 20, you would have been in better standings there. You also would have been closer to getting. Then obviously you go for it on 4th down, and then you get the first down, or at least you try there. But instead they decided to go all for it all with 1:40 left, saying that even let's say that play worked for a second, like just real fast. Let's say that play worked, and they got a touchdown off it. Now, there is about 1:40, 1:35 that the Broncos have with the ball, now up or down 5. They need a touchdown to win. Now, the Denver Broncos offense is not that great, considering they only scored 1 touchdown and like 4 field goals or something like that the entire game. So it's like maybe the defense could have stopped them. But, like, wouldn't you have rather have just gone for, like, a field goal or whatever and then just
you would think
want it right there, or a touchdown? Like, but, like, I just don't know what the fuck that play call is. Like, you just I'll never understand it. I sometimes think that coaches or offensive coordinators or whoever calls these plays, maybe if it was an audible by Love, then that's entirely his fault. But I couldn't imagine that was that. But it's like whoever does these play calls, I feel like they just get in their own head saying, "Oh, let's just do something they'll never expect." And I go, or how about you just run a play that gets you some yardage to make a potential 4th down? Because if you don't get the field goal or you don't score there, the game was over anyway. So, but
yeah,
they decided that we're just going to do the dumb thing, and Love's going to try and be the hero, and rather than just throwing the ball away like he probably should have, and then losing the game. So there was that. I already knew the Packers were probably not going to be very good going into the season. They didn't spend any money. Their receiving core is so unbelievably young and unproven. And with a quarterback that was like shaky, I think is the correct.
I think that's a good term for it.
It's just like you just didn't know what to expect. Like we saw Love come in on like I think a half when Rodgers hurt himself last season. And he looked decent. I'll say that. Like, he looked like he was like ready to play, ready in form or whatever. But then I remember he started that next week after that, and it just wasn't all there. Like, he just looked like he was like a deer in the headlights, where it was just like, I'm just kind of here, but not there's no thoughts in my brain or whatsoever. I don't know. And then it's just like, it's crazy to think that's what happened, and then it just go. And then this year, it's just like, at least he's looking like he's running the offense, but there's no offense to be seen. The line is utter garbage. Everyone's hurt, and I just don't know what he's supposed to do. What this team is supposed to be. I think I could say that just about any team, though. Every line apparently just sucks. Every offensive line this year feels like it sucks because they make. Every line basically gets the quarterback at every given moment. It's very funny. Yay, football, right?
Yeah.
My favorite sport of all time. I don't know. It was like, if you had asked me about like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, it's like I probably would have said I was a big football fan. But it's just like, as the years have kind of gone on, and like the rule changes, everything about it, it's just like, and then the players themselves are just like, some of them are just utter pieces of shit. That it's just like that. Why would I ever root for you?
It's like that one angry video game nerd meme, where it's like, what is it with football? Football.
Exactly. Sports ball, sports. All the sports.
Yeah, like if you've never seen it, like start this like halfway through. It's really funny.
I think I've seen this before. Yeah, I have. It's been a fucking long time.
It's the go-to like American sport, which is so weird to me because wasn't that originally baseball? Or
I mean, yeah, it's technically like baseball is America's pastime, or at least that's what they always say. So it's just really funny to me that like football is basically just the biggest sport in America, but it's like America's pastime, I guess, doesn't mean anything anymore.
Which is sad.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like the moves that baseball has made. I mean, the rule changes for all these years for this year have. I mean, I guess have done really well for attendance and everything like that. But it's like because the games are shorter and just not as long. It's just like they're not as long drawn out because there's the pitch clock. The bases are a bit bigger, so there's more steals. And like close plays that are more in the favor of creating offense. It's just that every move has been done apparently worked out this year, which I didn't think was going to be the case, considering that I didn't think pitchers were going to like the pitch clock, but they've adjusted pretty well to it. At least most have, with very few pitch clock violations anymore. And I just go, wow, that is surprising, but I guess that's the case. The other thing about that as well is that like they just want, like, the whole move was to make offenses more proliferant and for pitching to be not as good, and ultimately it ended up being pitching is still as good as it's always been, but because the games are shorter, it's okay. It's fun, that awkward, but yeah. I don't know. I was like like I said, the attendance across the league is up not by a lot,
which is odd to me, but okay.
Because I think like everyone always said the baseball games take too damn long, and I just go, but football games take longer than that. That's what I'll never understand. Is like people always say that like baseball games take too long, but I go, okay, so like the average length of a baseball game before the rules was like 3 hours or something like that, and everyone's go, oh, I'm not gonna sit for a 3 hour long baseball game. It's boring. But I'm like, but football games on average last 3 hours and 15 minutes. How? What? But you can
sense.
sit through a whole football game and not bitch about it, huh?
You think they're trying to shorten how long games take because people have like shorter attention spans now?
Yes.
Because
Yes, especially for baseball. Just feels like that nobody likes the art of what baseball is now, or it doesn't have mass appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like, oh man, it's people not understanding or appreciating, especially pitching. Pitching, like, and I know I've talked about this, but pitching, in a nutshell, is the number one coolest thing about baseball. It's like the cool, like, it is that because of the intricacies of baseball. But it's like, it's that old analogy that you can watch a boxer box, basically, like a professional boxer box, and you'll never understand the unique or like the intricacies that make them greater than anyone else, basically, that the things that make them better than the other person, because what you see punch, but when you look at it and you analyze it, you go, oh well, his sidestep is like this. It's the same thing with baseball. It's like you can look at two pitches and you can say, oh, he throws the ball 96 miles an hour straight on, and it's like, oh, it's cool. But then you slow it down and you look at it and it's like, it's not actually a straight on thing, because the ball is spinning so much, it's actually still moving a little bit. So the fact is that anyone from 60 feet away from like the mound to the plate can throw a ball 96 miles an hour, or like 90, like I think the average fastball now is like 93 miles per hour, and throw it to the point where they can actually locate it, or at least put it to where they want to put it, is an absolutely insane thing to do. It is. And then it's just like, then you couple that with like all the different, like the sliders, the changeups, the curveballs, and you just go, man, I don't know how any of these hitters hit these pitches anymore, and it is wild. And it's just like, looking at it, you can see it's like, oh, he threw that in for a strike or whatever. But then you really look at it, and you just go, wow, it's impressive. It's impressive. If you ever want to like see like what I'm like kind of what I'm talking about, I think to the best ability that anyone could really do is that go to look up the Twitter account Pitching Ninja, or it's like Rob Freeman.
Yeah.
And he does like overlays for pitchers or whatever, showing just how insane some of these ones. Like there's the one from last night's games, which is like the Kevin Ginkel, like just the juxtapose of his fastball and his curve and his like slider, and he like overlays the two of them to show like how like similar they look, but at the same time how different they look. And then you have to remind yourself that this is all done so fast that if you blink your damn eye, you miss the ball. If you blink, it's too late. You fucked up. That's how fast it is. So for players to be able to see, analyze, understand where the ball is going to be within a literal fraction of a second, and then hit it for like base hits or home runs, wild. It's wild. How anyone does it, I'll never know.
Just the various different stances that I'm seeing. That's
yeah, and then like the different ways they throw it, the different stances or whatever. Oh man, back to an old classic. It was like, do you ever do you know the player Zach Greinke? I think he's retiring from baseball this year. I don't think he's made it official, but I'm pretty sure he's retiring from baseball this year.
Oh, that's too bad.
He is known as the biggest weirdo in baseball, and it's because he's the one of the most hilarious guys in baseball. because of his antics. There was one time during the shortened like 2020 pandemic season or whatever, because they didn't have anyone in the stands, that he would pitch and he would just go second sign after second sign after first. So like he would like shout to the catcher or shout to the player. He's like, oh yeah, this is the sign I'm using for this pitch. And he still struck him out. Like, he knew what pitch was coming. He still struck him out. And I'm just like, fuck. No one in baseball would ever do that. He's just a weird. Like, he was playing for the Royals this year, and there were like times, like, there was like stories I'd hear from like the Royals dugout or whatever, where he would just go. I think there was one time where it was just like before a game started or whatever, before like the fans were in, he would like. He like grabbed something from a player or whatever and just chucked it. Or no. This is even better. It was a kid was asking for, it was before the game started, and he was like, and then Granky was kind of walking by, and the kid kind of reached out with a ball and like a marker, and he's like, hey, can I get an autograph, Zach? And he grabs the ball, grabs the marker, chucks the ball halfway across the field. And he looks back at the kid, and he goes, the kid goes, why did you do that? And he goes, because I wanted to. And then he ran and got the ball, signed it, gave it back to the kid.
I mean, lucky kid.
He's just the weirdest guy. That is not even like the weirdest thing. It's just, he's so goddamn funny, and I'll miss him so much. He's so good. He at one point wanted to quit baseball because it was too anxious. He was like he was too anxious when he was on the mound. Like he would quit baseball to be a garbage man, missing on millions of dollars because he was so anxious to throw the ball.
Wow.
He's legitimately said that at one point in his career. I think that was early on in his career. He literally said that, and I was just like, Jesus, man. Oh, one thing will really be interested to see if they talk about it is like when Scherzer's pitching for the Rangers in the World Series, if he's gonna be like, there'll be times when Scherzer is on the mound, he'll be like talking to himself or he'll be like cursing at himself because he just like he gets so mad. That's what I call him, Mad Max. And that he would just like, he's like, you better fucking make this pitch, you piece of shit. And then he like pitched the ball, and it was perfect. He is a very entertaining pitcher at the same time too to watch.
Want to talk about the Lions subject, but we don't need to. We can save it for next week. But
the what?
Lions. Yeah. Could you beat a lion in a fight? Do you think?
No.
Why? Why do you think you couldn't beat?
It's a lion.
Yeah. What? I think I could win. Do you not think I could win? Gamer, what makes you think that I couldn't beat a lion in a fight? I want to hear your proof. Your evidence.
I'm pretty sure lions are like way stronger than the average human being, as well as like the teeth could just rip through any, like just chomp off your head in one bite.
Yeah, but I got the smarts, you see. I'm smarter than them.
Real smarter. Do you think you could kick an alligator?
Oh, I could. Absolutely. I'd do a judo kick and then kick all their teeth out, and then I'd win by default.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I could beat up any animal. I'm just too good.
How about a hippo?
A hippo, you say?
Yeah. How about a big ass grizzly bear?
Oh, absolutely. I could beat up a grizzly bear. I wouldn't want to beat up a grizzly bear though. They're so nice for me. They're nice to me. They're my friends.
You would see here's how you'd win. Here's how you win. You wouldn't actually fight these things. You would just become best friends with them, and then say, "Hey, bro, we gotta fight just so I can win this bet." But just say you win, just so that way I win. And then, or make it convincing. Like, you do like a mock fight, but it's just like, you have like you do like a punch, and he just goes, "Oh, jeez, your power was so strong," and it was just I don't.
I mean, that's one way. Another way I was thinking is if I throw a rock, they'll just think that like I'm Lion Jesus or something, and that I have super magic powers, and then I'll scare them into a corner and just take them on like a little bit by little bit. I could be a lion. I'm confident in that fact.
I feel like the Scar song from The Lion King, like the "Be Prepared" song, would be like the thing you'd hear. Like that'd be like the entry. Like if you had like a wrestling match or whatever, and you had like it's like like both you and the lion have intro music or whatever. So it's like the "Be Prepared." It would be like as the lions come walking down into like the ring. I could see it.
And then I'm just.
So are you basically just turning into Kraven the Hunter? Is that what's happening here? Like you just turning into Kraven?
No, Kraven uses tools, and I don't need that shit.
But you just said a rock. You were going to use a rock, and a rock is technically a tool in that case.
Well, that was only one of my methods of winning.
But you just said you didn't use tools, but a rock is a tool.
That's not my only way of beating up a lion. I have other ways of beating up lions other than using rocks. I can beat up lions without stupid rocks.
I mean, what if he just uses his bare fists?
It's not a bear. It's a lion. It has lion fists.
What if Kraven just uses his fists?
Well, then good for Kraven.
Because that's what he does in Spider-Man 2. He beats up the Scorpion with just his fists and the Scorpion's own tail.
Well, I'm glad you ruined that for me.
It's a very minor thing. Don't worry about it.
But
I also forgot that was kind of a thing that yeah. Oops.
Ooh.
Anyway,
have fun, people listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
So, what makes you think what animal could you beat up? Do you think?
A cat?
What about a dog?
No, dogs would chomp my fucking head off.
Okay, how about like a raccoon?
No.
Or a wombat?
I'm gonna say probably not.
Or a capybara. Come on, man, you're better than this.
I mean, probably, but like.
Okay. So
I don't know. Should we call it there? I think that's a good place to call it, right?
Sure. Why not?
Anyway, thank y'all so much for listening to it. It truly does never end in this episode because boy, when I thought it was, you then throw out is like, oh yeah, I could beat up a bear or whatever the hell, or lion. That's what it was.
A lion.
Yep.
I could also beat up a bear. We can talk about that.
No, we already talked about that. Would you use a picnic basket?
I'd lure him in.
A picnic basket? Anyway, thank you again for listening or watching to whatever the hell this became, but it became something. Yep. Anyway, be sure to follow my co-host over there at twitch.tv/Tom Cruise Can't Lose.
I'll stream again eventually.
Exactly. And I will hopefully eventually too. When my computer didn't shit the fucking bed over the weekend. I was planning on it, but I was like, well, I can't do anything on this, so we're just gonna not do that this weekend. But anyway, so yeah, we'll see y'all next time though. And don't go fighting lions. That's a really bad idea. Don't listen to that crazy guy over there. Don't do that because you're clearly not gonna win.
Go out and fight a lion right now. You don't need a gun. Use your fists. I guarantee that you will win.
We're legally required to tell you don't do that.
Yep, legally, I'm required to tell you that's a bad idea.
That's a bad idea. Don't do that. Don't sue us. You can't say anything about that. We definitely didn't tell you to go fight a lion whatsoever.
Don't fight lions. This is all a joke. Don't sue us.
Got it.
Thank you.
All right. See you next week.
See ya.